What was the best part of 2017? What amazing things did I discover or do or experience over the last year? It is time for my yearly roundup of my favorite things of the last year. Usually this is a blog post, but this time I decided to share it here on the podcast with you because I get asked all the time what I recommend, what I enjoy, why I do the things I do. So today we're going to talk about my favorite bits of 2017. Welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm, episode 186 with me, Tara Swiger. Every year for the past few years, I've created a massive list, like over 70 things that I have discovered and loved in the last year. These aren't necessarily things created in the last year, they're just things that I discovered in the last year. So this year, I decided to share some of that here on the podcast. Some of these things, they're in things that I'm involved in selling. They're like either my products or my experiences or something that I work with, but this is truly the list of the things that made me happy, like really, really happy. And it's just such a blessing, and I am so grateful that my work is such a huge part of what makes my life awesome. And then the stuff that I do every day and the people that I get to work with every day are like a great part of my life. I am so grateful that that's true. So when I'm talking about something that is related to my business, it's not because I'm trying to sell it to you. It's because truly, when I look back on 2017, those were really, really great parts of my life. So the truth is, I always feel a little hesitant to share when it's related to my business because it almost feels like bragging that I like my work and the people I work with so much. I know that so many people have jobs that make them absolutely miserable, but I share because I'm not special. I've worked really hard to create what I've created and the businesses and the relationships, and I know that it's possible for anyone. Anyone can create a business that they really enjoy while living a life that they really enjoy, a work that's filled with projects and people that make you ridiculously happy. I know that's available. So I share it in the hopes that in sharing it, you can see what's possible for you if your work and projects and people aren't the things making you incredibly happy this year. So yeah, a lot of this is going to have to do with my work, but that's because this year my work was extremely exciting to me. So here are 9 of my favorite things in 2017. I will probably have a blog post later in the year that lists even more, like more specific books and podcasts and movies and TV shows that I really loved. This is more general categories of things. And note, I haven't included my husband, my dog, my parents. I have 3 amazing parents, or my brothers. I have many brothers, all of whom I love dearly, but that's because they would make the list every year. My husband is the best husband. My dogs are the most adorable hound dogs. My parents are so supportive, but all of that is true every year. And those aren't things that you could participate in and enjoy unless you become one of my siblings. So also, these things I'm going to list are not in any particular order. So number 1, no particular order, but the first thing is reading fiction and psychology. So this is kind of a cheat because every year reading is always my favorite thing. Reading is just my favorite thing in my life. But this year I read a lot of fiction and it was all so good and it was so exciting and it was so fabulous to escape into fiction. Maybe it's because of how many business books I've read over the years, but there are just fewer and fewer that really appeal to me. Instead, I really love total escapism in amazing novels or learning all about psychology and why we do what we do. More and more, instead of being interested in business books, I'm interested in psychology books or I'm interested in memoirs, like what other people actually did. I find fascinating even when they're really kind of goofy, like I read the Property Brothers memoir. Just because it's fun to see what somebody else's life is like as opposed to prescriptive business books. Second thing that I'm absolutely loving this year is finding essential oils and supplements and using them every single day and creating a morning and an evening and a daily work routine around them. The short version of this is I feel freaking amazing. I've had a few low times in the last year, but they haven't been nearly as often and not nearly as low in years past. And we've talked about this in previous episodes of the podcast about anxiety and depression. And part of the reason why I haven't experienced the lows of past years is because I'm doing all of the things for a foundation of mental health, which I talk about all the things in episode 153 of the podcast. It's called Anxiety and Depression, What Works 1 Year Later. And in part because when I start to slip down into low energy or I start to ramp up to anxious swirliness, I know what I need to do. And it also helps that my husband knows what I need to do as well. So I grab the Peace or the Serenity essential oil blend if I'm starting to feel anxious, or I grab Neroli or the Motivate blend if I start to feel like laying in bed and not getting moving. And Jay also knows, hey babe, you seem like maybe you're feeling those feelings we've talked about. Is there an essential oil that will help with this? He literally says that. And honestly, the real foundation of this is that when I'm taking my supplements regularly, and the supplements I take are doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack. I did a whole webinar about them. I'm going to link to that in the show notes. When I take those supplements regularly, I just wake up feeling good. And that waking up feeling good is kind of the start of a whole day, if it's going to go downhill or if it's going to be a day that I feel productive and I feel useful and I don't spiral into anxiety. So everybody needs to find what works for them. I do not think that what works for one person will work for everyone, but you need to find what works for you, and this is what's working for me. You guys ask me about it a lot, so I wanted to share it. So doTERRA, the company I get my essential oils from, is actually responsible for several things on my list. The first is the actual product, right? The essential oils and the supplements, and using them daily. And you all know over the years that I've shared very few things, like actual products that I really love. And until now, it's only really been books and journals and my favorite pens. But this has been a big enough difference in my life that I wanted to see how the business model worked. And so I started a whole second business. And that brings me to thing number 3. That is making me super, super happy this year is my doTERRA business. When I started writing about this, I just wrote, OMG, I love it. I love it. It's a whole new business model, and I'm totally obsessed with learning how it works for other people, and I'm obsessed with how great it is, both for someone like me who already knows how to sell stuff and how to share things that I'm really excited about. Also, I know how to run a business and create systems, but also, it's been really great for people brand new to business. So for example, 2 of the doTERRA biz builders that I've been working with are nurses. They didn't have businesses before. They weren't on social media before other than chatting with their friends and family. And in November, they both hit silver, which is an average income of $2,200 a month. That's now what they're making a month. One did it in 9 months while working full-time with 10-hour shifts as a nurse. She's her family's only source of income. So this is like massively important that it be able to fit in around the other stuff she has to do. And then the other did it in 5 months, and next month she's going to replace her full-time day job salary and be able to quit it when she wants to. She does 3rd shift nursing, so her schedule's all out of whack and she made it work, and that is why I'm obsessed. So I can't help but get excited when I help women create total financial change in their lives, and I will do whatever, no matter what you think of me, if I can help people do that. So the other half of this doTERRA business loving is that I wanted to align with a company that does what they do, that's this committed to sustainability and philanthropy. So doTERRA sources their oils directly from the countries that they come from, the plants are indigenous to, and they create fair trade co-ops with the growers and the distillers so that they can pay them fairly, which is something nobody else does. The essential oils you find at the grocery store down the street, they're not like that. And in fact, many of them are taking advantage of these third world countries and their natural resources, not paying them fairly, and sometimes even illegally taking them. So one example, there are so many examples I could go on about, but one example that I get really excited about is they work with frankincense harvesters in Somalia. And when the frankincense harvesters in Somalia work with doTERRA, they make 10 times what they make the other way when they work with anybody else. So doTERRA has increased their pay by 10 times for like the same bushel of frankincense. So most essential oil companies buy their oil from middlemen and not directly from the harvester. So the harvester and distiller see less of the money. And since I care about financial sustainability and like creating real financial, sustainability, stability in people's lives, this matters so much to me. So there's so much I could go into, but I'm just going to put links in the show notes because otherwise I can make the whole podcast about what they're doing in all of these other places, and the orphanages they're building and the schools they're building and the wells they're digging with the people that they work with. So I'm going to link it up in the show notes. If you're interested, you can go watch videos there. But the doTERRA business leads me to my fourth thing, and that is new friends. I make new friends every year. This year, the relationships have been really deep and meaningful, and I think it's because we're both like, they're mentors or I'm their mentor, but we're all working towards the same goal in really the same framework, where that's never really been true for me before. So specifically, I mean, there are so many, but when I started listing them, the ones I've gotten really close to this year are Brittany, Jacinta, Liz, and Dave, and Em. And you may actually recognize Liz from my Creative Live class on podcasting. She was the student in the live studio audience, and she's already created a podcast. So I want you guys to go check it out. It's called Between Grace and Chaos with Liz Eaton. You can search iTunes, or if you go to my show notes, they're going to be linked up in my show notes. But if you're listening on iTunes, just search iTunes Between Grace and Chaos with Liz Eaton. The thing is I didn't really realize how much I wanted coworkers and mentors until I started finding them and realizing it's so great to be able to text or message with somebody who is doing what I'm doing and who's been going through it or has already gone through it or is about to go through it, and share those experiences. It is bringing a whole new level to like my mentoring, and I never really like to call myself a coach, but to my teaching that I help handmade businesses with. It's bringing a whole new like level and lens to that, but it's also making me level up as a person who helps people succeed in business by helping them do it in a whole nother business, and by me being mentored by people who have already done it. That's a new thing for me, and I'm like soaking it up. So thank you, new friends, if you're listening. The fifth thing is totally ridiculous thing that's making me happy, and that's my pink hair. So 2 years ago, I feel like I felt like I really needed red hair. Well, it's kind of like Lucille Ball, bright orange red. I mean, you call it red hair, but really it's neon orange. And I just felt like I needed it to get through whatever was coming. I did not know what the coming year would bring, but it was a doozy. That was the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. What followed was a really hard time, and I kept my hair this crazy red orange because it felt like crazy red orange Lucille Ball Tara was a version of Tara who could be able to handle it. And this summer, it hit me. I was like, I don't think I need red Tara anymore. I think I'm ready for like more crazy haired Tara, like pink haired Tara. I have no idea how long I'll stay pink, and maybe by the time you're listening to this, I'm already some other color, but I think I might transition back to my normal blonde, my natural blonde, and then maybe go rainbow next summer. There's a goal I have for next summer that if I hit it, I just really feel like I need rainbow hair. And if this hair thing makes no sense to you, if you're like, why is she talking about her hair on a business podcast? I know a lot of you actually find it helpful to use an alter ego to get your business started or to get going. My first yarn company was Blonde Chicken Boutique, and this is back in 2006. Nobody used their real name on the internet, so I was just the blonde chicken in all the place, and I've written about how that alter ego helped me do things I was afraid of doing and get started in things I was just really afraid of. So for me, changing my hair color is like acknowledging some growth or some new skill I need to learn or some new Tara I'm about to step into. For me, like my age doesn't really do that, but something about my hair color helps me do that. So it's like a new set of skills and superpowers I get with each new hair change. And the good news is you never lose a superpower once you obtain it. So I still have all the depression feeding skills of red orange Tara, and I'm just adding it to pink Tara's arsenal. And so for thing 5.5 is what keeps my hair so pink is overtone. So I've linked it up in the show notes. It's a vegan color depositing conditioner that keeps my pink super pink. If you guys have crazy colored hair, then you know how easy that hair like fades. So overtone color is the answer. So the sixth thing is, while we're on the topic of taking care of your outer self affects how your inner self feels, we got to talk about nails. So this year, one of Jay's cousins became a nail artist, and over a big family dinner, there's like 20 of us having family dinner because Jay has a lot of cousins, we got to talking about Instagram strategy, and I told her that I would love to support her business. She should let me know how I could support it. So when she got started, I saw her post on Instagram. She's using my suggestions, and I decided I was going to go and support her and get my nails done by her. So I started having her do my nails before I did teaching gigs, and guys, I'm totally surprised. Like, I did not expect to enjoy it. I've not been a girly girl in the past. I've not been somebody who got my nails done like since high school. I got my nails done once, I think, for graduation. But it's like having an always available cheer up. So I just look at my nails and I'm like, they make me so happy. So I feel loved while she's doing it. I feel awesome about supporting an artist, and then I just feel so joyful when I look at my crazy glittery nails later. It's kind of like letting my inner preschooler, like, she has a totally socially acceptable outlet for her love of sparkles and glitter. So it's silly, but it's really making me happy this year. And doing your nails might not be for you, so find the thing that is. Find the thing that when you look at it, it might be a piece of jewelry, it might be a piece of clothing, it might be a piece of art in your home, that when you look at it, you're like, that just makes me feel happy. Like, my inner me is being reflected in that thing. So the 7th thing I've loved this year is the weekly Starship chat. So the Starship is my online community for makers and artists who are building a really profitable business. It's got weekly group check-ins, monthly live Q&As with me, and access to my entire library of classes. If you've ever heard me mention a class on the podcast and you're like, how do I get that? It's in the Starship for free in your membership. I started it back in 2011, and man, I just love the people in it so much. They're clever, they're funny, they're really generous with their knowledge and with their encouragement of each other. So going to the weekly chat always resets my attitude. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I have this thing scheduled I have to go to, but no matter how you feel about people on the internet or what you think people on the internet act like when they get together, the Starship is going to blow that up because it's in one place where everyone is genuinely kind. There are no mean comments. Everybody is helpful. Nobody is weirdly competitive, which is something I get asked about a lot. Everybody is just like, let me help you build your business. This is what's working for me. I am so grateful that I get to be a part of these people's lives and their businesses and the freedom that they're creating in their lives. Like, just to be a tiny part and watch it happen is like, oh, so much joy for me. So the Starship is open right now. It's only opening, this is the last time it's opening, that I plan on it opening for all of 2018. So if you want to work on your business in the next year and you want access to all of my classes and a group of really supportive, encouraging people, if I've made them sound amazing, it's because they are. You guys, I love you. I know you're listening. The Starship is opening right now. Just go to taraswiger.com/starshipbiz to learn more. When I opened the Starship, there were 25 spots available, but that was a couple days ago. I'm recording this ahead of time, so I'm not sure how many will be open, but go and check it out. There should still be a few open. taraswiger.com/starshipbiz. So number 8, travel. Every year I travel. This year it made me really happy. So I went to Southern Oregon twice to visit with my parents. I took a full week with them twice to just hang out at their house, which is amazing and beautiful. Went to Seattle to see my friends and their new little babies. San Francisco to teach at Creative Live. Memphis to go to a comic book shop owners conference, which was really awesome. Columbus for both TNNA and Midwest CraftCon. For the first time ever, I went to San Jose to teach at TNNA and Salt Lake City for the DoTERRA conference, and I'd never been to those cities before. So not as glamorous as 2016 when I went to Edinburgh and London and Farnham for the first time, but I am so looking forward to more travel in 2018. I'm actually going to be going to the UK a couple times in 2018, San Francisco and Southern California both a few times as well. So if you are in those places, make sure you're signed up for my list so that you'll be notified when I come to your town and teach workshops. We're kind of planning a kind of like a road trippy thing to visit some Starship members and do some workshops all over the place. Totally looking forward to that because I just love travel. The 9th and final thing that one of my favorite things of this year, and by the way, there are so many more, but this is just I have to keep the podcast not too long. The 9th thing I'm really excited about is my new Facebook group. So I created a totally free Facebook group after years of everyone else creating them, telling me I need to. But I really found something that I was excited to talk about regularly with all of you who listen to the podcast, all of you who I talk to, mentor, help you in your business. It's called Take Care of Yourself with Tara Swiger. It's a place where we can talk about the reality of running a business and not burning out, and like living our actual lives. Over the past year and a half in the podcast, we've talked more and more about your emotional health, your mental well-being, anxiety, depression, psychology, how to motivate yourself, habits. All of this is taking care of yourself. And you can't take care of your business if you are a burnt little crisp. We talked about that last week in the podcast. So it's the one place where I can bring together all my handmade business builders, all of my essential oil business builders, because we all have this big thing in common, which is building a business while still taking care of yourself and having some parts of your life that are just for you and that are restful and that fill you up and that make you happy, that aren't just work, but also like dedicating yourself to work and committing to doing the work you need to do to reach your goals, which will also help your life. So like, what is the interplay of that like? That's what we talk about in the Facebook group. So I'm doing Facebook Lives nearly every week, and I'm sharing my favorite articles, my favorite tips. A lot of people are sharing their favorite ideas. We do a weekly reminder on Mondays to plan how you're going to take care of yourself. And we don't mean like relaxing, like typical self-care bubble baths and chocolates, although totally cool if that's how you're taking care of yourself. I really mean being a good parent to yourself, making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you are having fun and playing outside, making sure you're eating your greens and you're not having too much sugar. Like, that is taking care of yourself. And that often falls behind when you're really dedicated to like reaching some goal or working in your business or even being a good parent or being a good partner. So I would love it if you joined us there. You can just search Facebook for Take Care of Yourself with Tara Swiger, or you can find the link at the show notes, which is taraswiger.com/podcast186. So everything I mentioned is linked up at taraswiger.com/podcast186. So those are 9 of my favorite things of this year. I would love to hear about yours. You guys are always turning me on to good books, good artists, good makers, good things that I would enjoy. So come tell me in the Facebook group. I'm going to start a thread on the day this podcast comes out. What are your favorite things of 2017? What have you found that are just making you so, so happy? And remember that you can find links to everything, including the Starship, which is only going to be open for another week, and the Facebook group at taraswiger.com/podcast186. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you a super enthusiastic day.